The brass plaque on the gate read the Hawthorne Estate, but the story that unfolded within its wrought iron borders was anything but quaint or cheerful. It was a vicious, glittering suburban betrayal, proving that sometimes the person next door isn't just borrowing sugar, they're borrowing a piece of your sanity. For 12 years, my life with Clara had been a precisely curated masterpiece. We had the house, a 4,000 square foot marvel in the exclusive, tree-lined enclave of Stone Creek Hills, a place where lawn care was a competitive sport. We had the careers. Elias Vance, at 34, was a senior partner in a high-stakes investment firm. She, 32, a gifted, if currently freelance, architect. And we had Leo, our 8-year-old son, the brilliant, sun-kissed anchor of our affluent existence. We traded in the frantic energy of the city for the illusion of peace, believing that our success had earned us immunity from the petty dramas of ordinary life. I worked tirelessly, the long hours a silent promise that their lives would be perfect. And in return for this decade of grind, my wife, the mother of my child, decided to sleep with the man living in the $3 million colonial 5 houses down. Let's call them Pierce and Helena Sterling. Pierce, with his easy charm and the perpetual tan of a man who owned a successful bespoke luxury remodeling company, and Helena, with her effortless style and a laugh that always sounded just a little too loud. Pierce's work often kept him close to Stone Creek, and Helena, a successful real estate agent, worked irregular, late afternoon hours. Leo and the Sterling son, Finn, were inseparable, bonded by shared classes at the elite private academy and a mutual obsession with competitive gaming. The proximity forged a connection between the families. Since Clara worked from home and was always present when the boys were dismissed at 3:30 p.m., the arrangement became simple and mutually beneficial. The 2 boys would head back to our house. It had been going on for nearly 2 years. We were all comfortable with it. Or so, I believed. The first tremor hit on a Thursday 4 weeks ago. I had an unexpected lull in a merger negotiation and decided to take the rare afternoon off. I pulled my Porsche into the circular driveway at 3:45 p.m. The house was too quiet. I found Leo and Finn in the sunroom, faces bathed in the blue glow of the massive TV. Our rule was sacred. No screen time until homework was done. "Hey, guys, where's your homework?" I asked, attempting a casual tone. Leo, eyes glued to the screen, replied, "Mom said she'd help us when she gets back." "Gets back from where?" A little knot of confusion tightened in my chest. Clara never left Leo alone, let alone with a friend's child in her care. She'd always insisted 8 was too young, despite his maturity. "The market, I think," Finn offered vaguely. They'd been watching for an hour, based on their description of the show's plot. That meant she'd been gone for at least 30 minutes. I tried to rationalize it. An emergency pharmacy run? A quick errand she underestimated? I sat down, feigning interest in their cartoon, my mind whirring. Through subtle questioning, Leo let slip. "She goes out a lot now. Sometimes she says she's just checking the mail, but she's gone for a long time." Then, the true stench of wrongness hit me. I excused myself and walked to the kitchen, peering through the window into the driveway. Clara's white Mercedes SUV was parked exactly where she always left it. The air pressure in the room seemed to drop. She had told 2 8-year-olds she was going to the store, but her car, the chariot of suburban errands, hadn't moved. She was close. Too close to be innocent. I stepped out onto the veranda and called her cell phone. It rang for an age before she finally picked up, her voice a little too bright, a little too breathless. "Elias? Everything okay? Just checking in. How's Leo?"
"He's fine."
"Downstairs doing homework," she chirped. The lie, spoken with practiced ease, was like a shard of ice in my gut. I kept my voice low, dangerously even. "That's interesting, Clara. Because I'm in the sunroom, and he and Finn are watching cartoons. And I'm looking at your car in the driveway. Where exactly are you?" The line went dead silent. It was a silence louder than any scream, a silence that confirmed everything. I waited. When she finally spoke, the forced buoyancy was gone, replaced by a threadbare whisper. I'll be home in a minute. I can explain." I walked to the end of the driveway and stood by the huge granite pillar, watching. About 60 seconds later, she appeared, walking quickly from the direction of the Sterling's house. She was wearing a silk blouse and her favorite fitted jeans, far too polished for a day spent supervising children. Her hair was hastily finger-combed. As she reached me, I didn't give her a chance to invent a story. I cut straight to the bone. "Were you at Pierce's house?" Her mask shattered. Her eyes went wide, and her lips parted. She looked like a student caught red-handed plagiarizing a thesis. Yes, but I went to borrow turbinado sugar for a new pastry recipe, she stammered, the upscale lie pathetic and transparent. I glanced at her empty hands. And where is this rare, expensive sugar, Clara? Did they run out? He thought he had some, but we couldn't find it. We spent all that time looking. She sounded less like a wife and more like a captured soldier giving up military secrets. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I simply walked past her and back inside. The air was too thick with her panic, and my own rage was a frozen block of stone I couldn't yet move. I had the facts. Now I needed the confession. That night, lying beside me, her fear was palpable. I rolled over and placed my phone, recording on the floor beneath my side of the bed. I spoke the words that confirmed my darkest fears. Does Helena know? Clara whimpered. Know what, Elias? Please. Does she know that you and her husband are sleeping together? The reaction was immediate. She recoiled, the shame finally eclipsing the panic. She wept, she pleaded, and finally, she confessed. It began with an emotional connection, Pierce confiding in her about his unhappy marriage. It escalated during those unsupervised afternoon hours. She swore it was only a few times. But when she was done confessing the destruction of our life, her immediate, frantic follow-up was the true, sickening reveal of her character. Please, Elias, you can't tell Helena. It will destroy their marriage and ruin our friendship. I stared at the woman I had built a life for. Did you have that same concern about destroying ours? I asked, and then I simply walked out and locked myself in the guest suite. For the next week, the house was a mausoleum. I retained a lawyer, compiled our financials, and waited. The decision to tell Helena was agonizing, but one comment from my lawyer stuck with me. Put yourself in her position. Wouldn't you want to know? The opportunity arrived the following Sunday. In a breathtakingly manipulative power play, Clara invited the Sterlings over for cocktails, clearly hoping to present a united front and shame me into silence. The four of us stood in the designer kitchen, a portrait of Stone Creek perfection. Pierce, looking tense and avoiding my gaze, and Helena, chatting brightly about a new listing, entirely oblivious. As they gathered their keys to leave, their guard finally down, I turned to Helena and smiled, a chilling, empty expression. Before you go, Helena, I just want to casually mention that Clara and Pierce have been sleeping together for months. The world stopped. Clara made a small, choking sound. Pierce went the color of porcelain. Helena's hand, reaching for her purse, froze midair. Her reaction was not the disbelief I expected. It was a terrifying, cold certainty. She didn't shout at me. She turned to her husband and slapped him hard across the chest. Not again, Pierce. Are you seriously pulling the same pathetic crap again? A fresh twist of the knife. Through her tears and fury, Helena revealed the truth. Pierce was a serial cheater. He had pulled this exact emotional vulnerability routine with an assistant at his previous firm, prompting their move to Stone Creek for a fresh start and his new business. He'd even used the same lie about their marriage being troubled. You both swore it was just flirting last time, too, Helena sobbed, pointing a shaking finger at Clara. But the girl eventually admitted it went further. So don't you dare stand there and tell me it was just some emotional nonsense again. Clara, horrified to realize she was not the unique, romantic conquest she imagined but merely the latest victim of a well-worn predatory script, could only gasp. I put an arm around a shell-shocked Helena. We are the victims here, Helena. Not them. I'm divorcing Clara. And he, I nodded at Pierce, who now looked truly broken, will never change. Neither of them deserve your silence or your protection. Helena let loose a torrent of justified rage, calling Clara a fake friend and a homewrecker. She stormed out, Pierce scrambling after her. Clara finally turned to me, her voice thick with accusation. Look what you did. You ruined everything. I met her gaze, my voice calm but absolute. You ruined it, Clara. You and your desperate, pathetic little accomplice. I simply spoke the truth in your house of lies. Epilogue, the new normal. Months passed. The expensive, drawn-out divorce was finalized. Clara, despite her betrayal, walked away with the Hawthorne estate and a substantial alimony payment, an infuriating reality of the courts that felt like a slap in the face. We share custody of Leo, who remains the only thing sacred from that previous life. We maintain a civil, emotionless front for his sake. Helena, true to her word, filed for divorce. Her proceedings, thankfully, were smoother. Pierce, the bespoke luxury remodeler, found his elite Stone Creek clientele vanishing once word of his reputation circulated. He was forced to move to a modest, soulless apartment across town. No one, it seems, wants a man who checks out the wrong pipes. I downsized to a smaller, more manageable property, a place with enough peace for Leo and me. The trauma is fading, but the lesson remains. I worked for principle and peace, and that price was worth more than a designer house or a perfected facade. I set an example for my son. That some lines cannot be uncrossed, and self-respect is not negotiable. I still see Helena occasionally. She's strong, navigating her new life with courage. We are two people who shared a brief, horrific moment of mutual realization, married to terrible people who valued their shallow comfort over our loyalty. We may never be friends, but we are united by the enduring, bitter comfort of knowing we made the right choice. We freed ourselves from the manicured, glittering lies of Stone Creek Hills.